What's up, Night Owls? Let's talk about the D&D movie. So I saw the D&D movie over the weekend and I just felt compelled to make a video about it. I'm going to go over the things that I liked about the movie and that I didn't like without spoilers. But before I get into it, I want to say that my expectations for this movie were very, very low. I was expecting a mediocre movie at best, maybe a 5 or a 6 out of 10. And it's nothing against Dungeons and Dragons. Obviously, I like the game. It's just the media they put out is generally not great. And this includes movies, TV shows, video games. It's all just kind of, it's okay. I mean, I love Baldur's Gate 3, but it's no Elden Ring or Persona. And the reason I'm putting so much emphasis on expectations is because a lot of people went into this movie with similar expectations and were blown away. Myself included, this movie's a 9 or a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. And I think that the low expectations that people had really worked in the movie's favor. So let's talk about what the movie does right. First off, the setting, obviously, the lore, the characters, the spells, the monsters. That's my favorite part of the movie. And I think they did a very good job at portraying these things. The lore, the setting, the visuals, it was all just very neat. Now, I am not saying that they did a great job at staying true to the lore. I'm saying they did a great job at the reimagining or the reflavoring in the presentation of it. If you're more about staying true to the lore itself, the creator of the Forgotten Realms, Ed Greenwood, started a YouTube channel recently and released a video where he kind of went through everything in the movie that they did wrong. The video comes off as a bit nitpicky in my opinion, to the point of almost whining, but I know that staying true to the source material is important to a lot of people, especially the creator. So that may be a video for you. I'll put it in the description. I personally love seeing how people reflavor and reimagine things for their own settings, and this movie is no exception. Now, the thing that this movie does the best is the comedy. This movie is absolutely hilarious. And I can't stress this enough. It's not hilarious in the context of a situation. It's hilarious in the context of D&D itself. And that distinction is important to me because you can have comedy in the context of a situation regardless of the setting. There are funny jokes that can carry over regardless of whether you're in a sci-fi movie, a Western, or a fantasy movie. The great thing about the comedy in this movie, or at least a majority of it, is that it's hilarious in the context of D&D. Specific spells are used in hilarious ways, specific monsters, things like that. Things that you can look at and go, this is a D&D thing, and they're doing a really funny thing with the D&D thing. I'm being intentionally vague because I don't want to spoil anything, but I can tell you that D&D tables across the world are going to treat Speak with Dead very differently after seeing this movie. The story was also really good. I felt involved with the plot that was going on. There's some good tearjerker moments. I was definitely immersed in what was going on. Before I move on to the things that I didn't like about the movie, I want to talk about the visuals very briefly. The visuals were great. Spells looked, the magic just looked fantastic. The monsters really stood out. I loved them. It was great seeing monsters on the screen, and there was a lot of them. Absolutely wonderful visuals. All right, let's talk about the bad. But before I do, just a reminder that this movie was a 9, maybe even a 10 out of 10. Amazing movie. The bad that I'm going to talk about here is minor. It's just little minor things that I wish they would have done differently. My number one complaint with this movie is that it went way too fast. There was a lot of ground to cover. I think this movie ran for just shy of 2 hours. A lot of spells, a lot of locations, a lot of monsters. There was just so much going on in this movie that not one thing had enough time on the screen, to the point where like fantastic events were happening in just a few minutes, and we go to like this awesome location and then we leave like right away. We were only here for just a few minutes. We got the thing, we fought something, and now we're out of here. And I know a lot of you are probably thinking like, yeah, of course the movie wasn't long enough. You enjoyed it, and now you're just sad that it's over. Well, yeah, that's a fair criticism, but it's still valid. The movie didn't go long enough. I feel like this movie should have been a trilogy. And I know how that sounds, but like I said, they covered so much ground, and they probably didn't want to risk, like, if the first movie sucked, then we're stuck with these next 2 movies are also going to suck, and it's just going to be miserable. So let's just make one movie, test the waters. I get that. I get that. It's fine. But like I said, they just, like, a lot of ground gets covered. They move so fast through everything that I don't feel like they spent enough time on any individual thing, except Wild Shape. My other complaint about the movie is that some of the fights were kind of boring, especially against non-magical, nameless NPCs. And I'm giving this a lot of thought, and I'm not sure if it's the fight choreography or maybe just the length. I get that the barbarians got to beat up some grunts, but I was getting kind of bored with it before it ended. Now, this is by no means every fight in the movie. There are two very big exceptions that are absolutely amazing. And if you've seen the movie, you know exactly which ones I'm talking about. And those were my only two complaints about the movie, really, is just the breakneck speed and a couple of boring fights. Like I said, overall, this movie is a solid 9, 10 out of 10. Here's the thing, though. I've heard from a lot of people that if you don't know anything about D&D, that you'll still enjoy this movie. I don't know how true that is. Everybody that I know plays D&D, but from watching the movie myself, I feel like you'll miss a lot of what the movie has to offer, obviously, by not really understanding the lore or some of the references, or just like having not played D&D. But if you're watching this video, if you watch my channel, chances are you know a good bit of the lore anyway, or you're at least interested in it. And for those people, this movie has a ton to offer. So yeah, that's my review of the D&D movie. To put it simply, if you don't see this movie, you are missing out, especially if you're a D&D player. And just as a real quick warning for the people who haven't seen the movie, I would like the comment section of this video to be spoiler-free, but I'm also not going to spend a lot of time regulating it. So go down there at your own risk. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, you know how YouTube works. Hit those buttons, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the D&D movie, or if you're going to go see it. And if you want to be a part of this D&D community, make sure you join the Discord. Link is in the description. Come by, ask questions. Let me know what you think. And as always, we'll see you at sundown.